Hello and welcome to Friday Flow. I'm Pam Reid, author of New Lenses and founder of Flow. Feel love over worry. Thank you so much for being here to kick off yet another weekend together. I look forward to this every week and I hope that you do as well. As always, I'm hoping that you'll hear something or see something or experience something that not only pricks your heart, but causes you to acquire a new set of lenses so that you can see your people and the world differently. Okay, so here we are. And it's been very interesting in this pandemic, right? So people have not been doing a whole lot of traveling. And I was very interested in speaking with a colleague this week who had done some airline traveling. He got back on Tuesday, and I just asked him, I said, so, how has it been, traveling on an airplane? And he said that it was a little creepy, a little eerie, but very, very different. He said he flew Delta. And he said that they would not let him on the plane unless he had a mask on, and you had to wear your mask the entire flight. Now, of course, if you were eating something, you would just, remove it and eat and put the mask back on. But you had to wear it for the entire flight. On Delta, the middle seats are still not available. That of course can change today or tomorrow, but just not available. And so it still allows for some distance between the passengers. And even though when you get on a plane, you can smell the cleaning solution, and you know that they've done all that they need to do, they were still handing people their own individual wipe so that they could, wipe down their seat themselves and their whole section themselves. There was no beverage service, he said. They handed him a bag with some water and a snack. He actually got a thing of hand sanitizer. The plane was hardly any people on it, and so there was plenty of overhead luggage space. He said it was just so different. But even when he kind of ran down that list of things that was different, it was the last thing that he said that just, oh man, did that just spark all kinds of things for me. And it's the thing that I want to share with you. He said that they loaded the plane from the back to the front. Now, if you're not someone who flies often, or maybe you don't fly at all, you need to know that there are that is usually the opposite. Okay, if you've got some preferred flight status, or some VIP status, or some platinum status, there's the front part of the plane that gets loaded first, right? And typically, when the first part of the plane gets loaded first, then those folks are sitting there while everyone else gets on the plane and has to walk past them. Constantly, people are walking past them. And in some cases, where people are still trying to load in their overhead luggage, right? The line stops and you're just standing there. And so there's really no distance between you and the person sitting to your right or to your left. And so now, right, during this pandemic and the protocols in place, they're loading from the back to the front. So that people, and here's the key here, the people who were typically first are now last, and the people who are typically last are being loaded first. That is so reminiscent of a parable that I have to share with you that is in Matthew, the book of Matthew in the Bible, Matthew chapter 20. And I told you before, Matthew is one of my favorite books of the Bible. I've got lots of favorites, but that's really one of my favorites. There's so many good parables and nuggets and stuff in it. And it reminds me of this parable that is just, I love it. Okay. So there's a landowner, and it's the beginning of the day, and he goes out to the marketplace because he needs workers. So he goes out to the marketplace, and as it turns out, there's some people there, and he says, I need help. Will you come and work on my vineyard for the entire day? And if you do, I will pay you a denarius, one denarius, which was the ancient Roman silver coin. I'll pay you one of those if you come and work for me the whole day. And they were like, yeah, that sounds great. So he brings them back to the vineyard and they're ready to work for the day. Well, 3 hours in, the landowner's looking around and he's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to need some more help. So he goes back to the marketplace. Now, this is 3 hours in, okay? He goes back to the marketplace and he finds some more people and he goes, I need some help on my vineyard. Will you come? And if you come, I will pay you what is right, is what he says. I will pay you what is right. Now, these people are like, you know what? We're already 3 hours into the day. It's not even going to be a whole day. Okay, sure. So he brings them to the vineyard and they start working. Well, now 6 hours in, the landowner's like, oh man, I'm still going to need some help. I'm not going to get as much done as I need to get done. So he goes back to the marketplace. He finds some people. He convinces them to work for him and that he'll pay them what is right. And he brings them back. So now he's got people working on his vineyard that have been there all day. Some, came, 3 hours into the day. Some came in 6 hours in the day. He does that again in the ninth hour of the day. He goes back and he does it again. And then even up to the 11th hour. Now, in this parable, there's 12 hours in the workday. Okay. So in the 11th hour, he goes back to the marketplace in the 11th hour and he's like, you guys haven't been doing anything all day. Come on and help me and I'll pay you what is right. And these last people, the ones for the 11th hour, they're like, sure. It's only one more hour left in the workday and I'm going to have some change in my pocket. Sure. Right. Now, he never said what he was going to pay them, but they knew they were going to get something because he said, I'll pay you what is right. So they come and they're working. So he's got a whole workforce now on his vineyard. He's got an hour left and they're doing what they need to do. Well, at the end of the day, the landowner says to the foreman, okay, line everybody up so I can pay them. And by the way, when you line them all up, I want the people who I hired at the 11th hour at the front of the line. And I want you to go all the way down, lining folks up so that at the end of the line are the people that I hired first, the people that I hired first this morning. So the foreman has his instructions and he does just that. And then the landowner stands in front of them and he's excited. He's got his bag filled with these silver coins, these denarius. And he takes out one of them and he hands it to the people rather, that came to work at the 11th hour. And they're happy and they go away. And then he takes out another one and he gives it to the people that came in at the ninth hour and they go away. And he does it again for the people who were there from the sixth hour, and then they go away. And all the while that this is happening, from the 11th hour person to the ninth hour to the people in the back of the line, the people who were there from the beginning of the day are like, oh, what? Do you see what is happening at the front of the line? The landowner is he's paying them a full denarius. What? Ooh, we about to get paid. I mean, they only worked an hour and they got a denarius. What? We worked all day. Ooh, we're gonna get paid. Sure enough, the landowner gets to the end of the line where the people who first started there are ready. They're like, oh yeah. And he gives them a denarius. And he says, thank you. And these people are like, wait, what? What? And they start moaning and grumbling and complaining. They were upset. And the landowner was like, whoa, wait a minute. What's wrong? And they said, well, wait a minute now. You gave the person who would just worked an hour, you gave them a full denarius, and you're going to give us one as well. We worked all day. We worked in the sun. We did the most work, and you're only going to give us one. And the landowner said, but that's what you agreed to. We had an agreement and that's what we agreed to. So please take it and go. And they still grumbled and complained. And he said, well, wait a minute. Are you envious because I've been generous? Can I do with my money what I want to do? And so the first will be last and the last will be first. That is the parable. And by the way, this parable has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with compensation. It has nothing to do with rewards. It has everything to do with God's generosity and his salvation and his love and his grace and mercy, and how he gives all of this to all of us generously. It's like saying, okay, so Hmm. Keith has been saved for, what, about 30 years now? Okay. And Kathy's been saved for about a month. Okay. So I love Keith like this much because it's been 30 years, and Kathy just got in a relationship with me. So I'm gonna love her like this much, right? No, no. God, God is not, no, God is not prorating his love. He gives it all to us equally and generously. That is the part that we have to get in this whole parable, right? Where here it is, if I just came into a relationship with God, I get all the same love that someone who has been in relationship with God for many, many years. That is the beauty of God's love and generosity and his grace and mercy. And the crazy part is just kind of going through all this and getting this download from God. I've been like those men at the back of the line. I've been there. I've been there where I've said, well, wait a minute. Well, so what they really that person's not even a nice person, and they've just been blessed and getting all kinds of favor, and right, like that is not my place. Who am I to judge that? Or and I've heard this quite a bit, people who are just, live this kind of life that is just, they've been not nice and done some cruel things. And then, the decades pass and then they get sick and then they come to God, right? Now they have a relationship with God. And people's like, oh, really? You spend your lifetime doing this dirt now that you're not well. And now yeah, exactly. God does not care at all when you come into the fold. He doesn't care. He's going to give you the same love that he gives to someone who's been in the fold for many, many years. And here's the other thing, too. There's certain things that he's not considering himself for. He's not looking at your degrees. He's not looking at your status in the community. He's not looking at your certifications. He's not looking at the kind of car you drive or the kind of house you have. He's not looking at any of that. He is looking at your heart. Yeah, he's looking at the condition of your heart. Are you becoming the kind of person that he created you to be? And so it's like an ego thing, right? And so I want to ask you guys, does anyone know what the acronym ego is? What the acronym is for ego? Put it in the chat if you know. Yeah. If you know, whoever can tell me first what that acronym is for ego, EGO, I've got something special for you. If anyone can tell me before I tell it, yeah, let me know. So yeah, if you've got some ego where you're just kind of thinking that your VIP status or your preferred status is or the house that you have or the car that you or whatever just entitles you in some kind of way. And then even on the opposite side of that, right? You have the people who don't have a healthy ego, right? And they feel like because they've never been first or they don't have a degree or they don't have a high paying job or that they feel like they'll never be first. Ladies and gentlemen, that is absolutely not true. None of us know. We have no idea. Someone answered. Tracy. Yeah, you got it right. She says, "Edge God out" or "etch God out." Yeah, when you've got an ego, right? That's just a little bit much. You're kind of etching God right out of your life. You're etching God right out of the situation. And so I would encourage us to flow and feel love over wondering why the people in the front of the line get the same thing that we get, right? Wondering why God may decide to load the back to the front, wondering why we're in the midst of this pandemic. I've heard all kinds of speculations as to why, God is doing this or why. All I know is that he is at the helm. and that all we have to do is continue to do what he's doing for us, right? He loves us. We love others. We love him back. Being kind, being caring, being generous with all that he has given us. And I want to leave a scripture with you, right? So here it is. It is Romans 12:3, and it says, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment. That goes both ways, guys. We're not to think higher of ourselves than we should, and we're also not to think lowly of ourselves. There is not one place in the Bible, not one place in the Bible, where Jesus is speaking negatively about himself. Mm-mm, mm-mm. And God looks at us through Jesus' eyes, and I got to tell you what he sees. He sees us as the apple of his eye. Now, so Tracy, I'm going to be reaching out to you. I'm going to send you a private message because I have something very special for you. And I see that there's been a few comments here. So I want to, so Peggy says, Pam, pretty sure that Delta has agreed not to fill middle seats at least until September. Aha, wonderful, wonderful. And thank you all for your amens and just all of your encouragement. I certainly appreciate it. And I want you to know that um, if you feel like there is someone that can benefit from this message, please feel free to share it with them. I really appreciate that because the idea here is to prick hearts, right? And to people to look at things differently. Now, before I let you go and before I tell you how much I love you, I had shared with you previously that I'm taking this leap and I'm going to have a flow event. And I promised you some more details. And so I'm going to give it to you in pieces. So please, I have the date. The date is August 27th, and it is going to be a 7-day intensive. No, we're not spending 7 full days. It's 1 hour for each of the days. And it is going to be everything from lessons to some very tangible takeaways and some meaningful and memorable good fun. I've got some amazing things in store for a very private group of people. And so when I have my link ready for you to register, I will make sure I get it out to you. But I hope that you get excited about it and you put the date on your calendar. It is August 22nd is going to be the day. And so if you are looking to flow, we're going to flow into 5 key areas. We're going to flow into relationships and time and money and health and life's work and ministry. And so thank you guys for being here. As always, I love you. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you take this message forward. And I hope I'll see you again next Friday and Friday Flow. Have a great one.